At a joint press briefing in Islamabad, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar declared that Pakistan will not initiate conflict but will respond strongly and decisively if provoked.
However, in case of any escalating move by the Indian side, we will respond very strongly.
He was joined by DG ispr Lieutenant Gen Ahmed Sharif Chaudhry and Foreign Office spokesperson 𝐶𝐿 Khan. All three condemned India's posturing and allegations over the April 22 Pahalgam attack, calling them part of a familiar template to justify escalations and silence Kashmiris. Pakistan reiterated its demand for a neutral international investigation and called India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty a breach of international law. Dar warned that any attempt to divert Pakistan's water would be treated as an act of war.
In fact, this has now become a very familiar template aimed at diverting attention from India's inability to suppress the inalienable right of the Kashmiris to self-determination. The National Security Committee of Pakistan has made it very clear that any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan as per the Indus Water Treaty and the usurpation of the rights of the low riparian will be considered as an act of war.
Lieutenant Gen Chaudhry laid out what he described as irrefutable evidence of Indian-sponsored terrorism in Pakistan. This includes the arrest of a Pakistani national trained and funded by India, explosives, drones of Indian origin, and intercepted audio linking Indian military officers to militant financing.
इस तमाम साजिशों में खासकर इंडिया का हाथ है।
मेरा मुलाकात हमसाया मुल्क के इंटेलिजेंस वालों से हुआ। हम आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे रियासत पाकिस्तान को गैर मुस्तकिम होने के लिए।
एक महसूस ताकत बलोच को सिर्फ एक प्रेशर ग्रुप के तौर पर इस्तेमाल करना चाहते हैं। या मैं समझता हूँ कि इसका नुकसान सिर्फ बलोच कौम का हो रहा है। दुनिया की नजरें तो हैं इस पे, इससे तो कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता।
So these were the leaders of multiple terrorist groups operating in Balochistan who, having after surrendered, are revealing in detail that how they were funded, they were helped, and how their sponsorship was done by India.
He said the Pahalgam narrative mimics the post-Pulwama playbook, where India used terrorism claims for political gain.
After a quarter of a century, it's the same playbook being repeated again and again.
Amid rising tensions, the Pakistan Air Force scrambled jets after detecting Indian Rafales patrolling near the line of control. The interception forced the Indian aircraft to retreat before breaching Pakistani airspace. Meanwhile, Pakistani forces shot down 2 Indian surveillance drones in separate incidents and retaliated to unprovoked Indian firing by targeting multiple military posts along the loch in the last 24 hours. Defense Minister 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐻𝐻 said border defenses have been reinforced and warned that strategic decisions have already been made. The next few days, he said, would be critical.
तो इस सूरत हाल में जो है मैं फिर कहूँगा कि एक क्लैश की सूरत हाल बिल्कुल नज़र आ रही है। अल्लाह करे एवर्ट हो जाए, हम कोई जंग मुसल्लत हमारी तरफ से तो कतई तौर पे नहीं होगी, लेकिन हमारे पे अगर मुसल्लत की भारत ने तो उसका जो है फिर
IT Minister Shahza Fatima Khawaja confirmed that attempted Indian cyber attacks on Pakistani ministries were successfully repelled. She urged the media and influencers to avoid spreading sensitive military information.
कुछ ministries के ऊपर आए और मगर they were successfully हम उसको हमने defend किया है। कोई इस तरह का बहुत बड़ा मसला नहीं आया। टेलीकॉम के ऊपर कोई नहीं आया, मगर जो मिनिस्ट्रियल इनके ऊपर वेबसाइट्स वगैरह पे आए हैं उनको टाइमली जो है वो उनको रिजॉल्व किया गया है। पाकिस्तान में आपको पता है एंडसर्ट और प्रोविंशियल सर्ट्स भी बन गए हैं। हमारी एक NTIS भी है, वो भी फाल है। तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी के हवाले से पिछले 2 सालों में पाकिस्तान टॉप टियर कंट्रीज में आया है।
Meanwhile, PIA cancelled multiple flights from 𝐒𝐬𝐷 and 𝐶𝐴RDU over security concerns, as these air routes lie close to contested airspace. Information Minister Atullah Tahir revealed credible intelligence suggesting that India may attempt military action within 24 to 36 hours, a warning that rattled both investors and global observers.
Pakistan has credible intelligence that India intends carrying out military action against Pakistan in the next 24 to 36 hours on the pretext of baseless and concocted allegations of involvement in the Pahalgam incident. India's self-assumed hubristic role of judge, jury, and executioner in the region is reckless and vehemently rejected.
Global powers including Saudi Arabia, the US, and the United Nations have called for immediate de-escalation and dialogue. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan also urged national unity, cautioning that peace should not be mistaken for weakness. Amid growing fears of military confrontation, the Pakistan Stock Exchange saw its sharpest single-day plunge in recent months. The ksc 100 index fell over 3,500 points, down 3.09%, closing at 111,326 on Wednesday. Analysts say investor panic was triggered by terror's late-night statement about a possible Indian strike. The fallout extended to international markets, with Pakistan's 2036 bonds falling by over 1.3 cents. Just a day earlier, investor sentiment had briefly improved after news that the IMF Executive Board would meet on May 9 to approve a $1.3 billion climate resilience loan and review Pakistan's ongoing $7 billion bailout. But those gains were quickly wiped out by rising fears of war, as markets shifted focus from economic recovery to regional stability. Across the border, Indian markets remained relatively stable, buoyed by strong banking stocks, though volatility has spiked in the wake of the Pahalgam attack. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reportedly given his military operational freedom, a move that further heightens concerns. With the region on edge and the world watching, diplomacy teeters on a razor's edge. As both nuclear-armed neighbors remain alert, the next few days could define the path ahead, towards dialogue or disaster. Iran and the United States will hold a fourth round of nuclear talks in Rome on Saturday, seeking progress on curbing Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. Mediated by Oman, the negotiations represent the highest-level contact in years between the rivals. Iranian officials will also meet with Britain, France, and Germany, key players in the 2015 nuclear deal. As diplomacy unfolds, tensions remain high, with Iran rejecting European threats of renewed sanctions and the US maintaining its maximum pressure approach under President Trump. A senior Israeli lawmaker has warned that the country is edging towards civil war, accusing Prime Minister Netanyahu's government of turning Israel into a fascist dictatorship. Ofer Kasif, currently suspended from parliament for criticizing the Gaza war, said the government is dismantling democratic institutions and stoking unrest. His comments come as mass protests erupt over controversial judicial reforms. Former lawmaker Sami Abu Shahada echoed the concerns, saying far-right elements now dominate Israel's power structures, using the Gaza war as cover to erode civil liberties and silence dissent. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's decision to wear a Palestinian keffiyeh at an Arab Heritage Month event has sparked backlash from local Jewish groups, who called the gesture provocative in the wake of the October 7 Hamas attack. Critics said the keffiyeh symbolizes violence, while advocates, including CARE, defended it as a cultural expression miscast as political. The mayor, who has called Israel's actions in Gaza genocidal, now finds himself at the center of a broader debate over identity, solidarity, and symbolism in a sharply divided political climate.